Well, the Cars land that we think is coming to Frontierland might not be. We're going to talk about that. Also, do we need better chaperone policies in the parks? That and so much more tonight on ParksCenter. Friends, welcome to ParksCenter for September 22nd, 2024. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. Please give us a thumbs up. It's free, costs you nothing, and hopefully will help people to find us. And then also, if you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV. That's this channel for more great content. Tonight, the panel du jour, starting with Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
Ashton.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
And the one without the A name, it's Stephanie.
Siva Ko, and happy Halloween. Oh wait, it's still September, sorry.
I know, it's crazy, right? We were in Costco and my wife looked over at the Christmas stuff. She goes, I can't right now with that. So thank you guys for being with us. Before we get started though, last week we had 2 super chats from our good friend Jungle Cruiser, and I promised, I swore that we would, I swear, remember that from the, never mind, that we would talk about the 2 super chats. So real quick, 2 super chats from Jungle Cruiser. One of them was the DLR policies, the candy cane, more than the buckets. Rob, I gave her a stitch. Now that means nothing to anybody who's watching right now, but we were talking about the Stitch popcorn bucket. Desi wanted a Stitch popcorn bucket. He hooked her up. That was great. And then the other one was, monorail at DLR. You can ride with the pilot again. And we're talking about that tonight. So, again, Jungle Cruiser, thank you so much. As promised, I wanted to start the show off mentioning those. So let's get into this first. I'm very proud of myself. Stephanie, tell me how good a job I did with the title Cars Trouble. It's funny,
That's awesome.
Right? Okay, that's all I needed. I just needed a little bit of validation on that. So I don't know if you guys know the whole thing. Last week we talked a little bit about the fact that Josh made a lot of dreamy announcements at D23 out in Anaheim last month, and then the days after were the fallout of where are all these things going. And even though we have the blessing of size out in Florida, and then we have Disneyland Forward approvals out in California, there's still a ton of things closing. There's 11 attractions closing around the world in the next year and a half, and one of them is the Rivers of America with Tom Sawyer Island and also with the riverboat. Now, a lot of people got online and complained about it, and so I think that there was some thought that maybe they would cancel this plan, but the state of Florida is looking at their permits, and they could be our saviors here. They could be the ones that say, no, this cannot happen. This will not stand. And Allison, I'm going to start with you because I know you're a fan of the Rivers of America. It's not just an attraction. It is part of the theming, and this may mean that they have to sit back and rethink what they're doing, right?
I am. It's actually my favorite spot in the Magic Kingdom. I don't think it means anything definitively. Like they're going back and forth with permits and arguments. I think I want to read the papers so badly, actually, because I'm curious if this is really like we're just going to give you a hard time to give you a hard time and make you jump through hoops because we want to like exert some power of the Disney company, or if this is actually like good faith, reasonable things that Disney hadn't put in their initial permit application that they should have. And I'm not really sure which it is unless I were to read them. So if somebody has them, please email them to me. I would love to see. But of course, yeah, I mean, I'm sad overall about losing Rivers of America. I know it's not usually the favorite spot, but my favorite spot in the Magic Kingdom is like in Frontierland, looking out over Rivers of America. So calming for me. Plus, I really like having Tom Sawyer Island. Small kids, it's really important to have that like free roam space. And I guess we'll have to just go to Dumbo and go inside in the future. But like, there's nothing on this side of the park without that. So anyway, that's how I feel. That a little sad, but I'm very curious as to whether this is some kind of like some kind of power struggle, or if this is all like in good faith.
Well, and yeah, I'm sure I'm sure they're very riveting papers. Not my thing. Maybe you can read them and then tell us all about them. But I was thinking a lot about this. One is that with these new attractions, and there's one Cars attraction that they showed us a lot of artwork for. We don't really know what it's going to be. It doesn't feel like it's going to fit into Frontierland, but it's happening. The other one is something that they've just kind of said there'll be a second one, and they're not saying it's going to be a Cars Land. They're saying they're shoehorning a couple Cars attractions into Frontierland where it just makes the most of sense. And so one of the things that they're complaining about with the permits is they're like, hey, you're taking a lot of like water like land away, and where are you going to put these new wetland areas? We need to know more information about that. You can't just fill it in and call it a day. You need to make reservoirs and other things that will account for all of this stuff. So the thing I was thinking about is, one is that the Rivers of America is almost like a fifth of the Magic Kingdom. I mean, if you look at it from above, it is a crazy amount of space. And the fact that you can't get to Tom Sawyer Island without going over, or over on the raft, and the fact that you can't actually make a bridge tall enough to go over the Liberty Bell, it doesn't make any sense. So I see why they would maybe have a problem with that. Also, I've been worried about capacity, because you take away the Liberty Bell, which is a lot of capacity, and you take away Tom Sawyer Island, then you probably have something that has a lower capacity attraction anyway. But looking at the guide, these attractions close at 5:30, so like they're not even all day attractions. They're gone for most of the day. Stephanie, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think, are you hoping? Because I'm kind of hoping that they're like, oh, maybe we can't do this. We got to leave it as it is.
Yes, I'm hopeful that they do either leave it as it is or at least pare down what they're talking about destroying and taking out. So maybe they leave that first loop down there by, Haunted Mansion and in front of Country Bears and everything like that, to where you still have the ambiance, you still have that beautiful water, and you maybe could even have the Liberty Bell, just a shorter track around there. But yeah, they have plenty of acreage back behind Big Thunder. Again, they said beyond Big Thunder, and this is not beyond. This is in front of Big Thunder. And really, I mean, if you think about it, the proposed Cars ride is going to be more of a Yellowstone type of, grand adventure where you're driving through geysers and things like that. And that's still the American frontier. That's still the West. So that makes sense, I guess, in Frontierland, if they would just put it back beyond Big Thunder where they said they were going to do it in the first place. So yeah, I mean, hey, why don't you do a drawbridge or something like that if you need to, have it hold off for a little bit and let the Liberty Bell come through and then put it back down. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. I don't think this was a delayed stall tactic from Florida just to be messy. I think it was more about like conservation and why didn't you put anything about relocation of animals and waterways and things like that into the original permit. But that's not my thing either.
No, that's not your thing. Get back to you on the medical minute. That's fine. So looking above, there is a ton of open space behind these attractions. And I know we're talking about making Villains Land beyond Big Thunder, but behind this area, there's about 8, probably 12 acres of land that could be used behind these attractions to make a Cars Land without filling in the Rivers of America. And I've heard another idea of maybe they just close it and make it a small circle. But boy, would that be a very short ride. Yeah. On the riverboat. Ashton, I want to give you a moment on this, but I don't know if you I don't know your history, if you understand that the Rivers of America used to have other attractions on it, like the canoes and the keel boats. So there used to be a lot more going on here, right?
Yeah, that's before my time, for sure.
I know it is. I get that. I absolutely.
I kind of agree with everybody so far. I think it's more bureaucracy than stopping anything that's actually happening. I don't think there's anything more than that. I think it's just more paperwork, so they can make more money. I don't know. That's
what?
Just me.
How? What? I don't think. No, that doesn't sound right. But honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like this gives them an out. Because if people are as upset as they could be about this guy. Yeah, there you go. If they are this upset about it, it would be an easy way to go, oh, well, we can't do this. Let's move and pivot and do something else. And that has happened very few times that they've done that. The Fantasyland expansion was supposed to be several meet and greets, and instead they took that, and a Tinkerbell Land, and they took that stuff out, and they ended up doing the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which the legend is that's because Tom Stagg's sons wanted something more than an Aurora meet and greet. But whatever it is, it left us a great attraction. And then of course there's that rumor about the bears being saved, but we won't talk about that tonight. So let's move on to this. So this story came up, and this is the one that Jungle Cruiser was talking about, that before. Again, you guys may remember there was this COVID thing. You used to be able to ride in the front of the monorail at Disneyland. Now, in Disney World, this stopped in 2009 because there was an accident that tragically a cast member lost their life, and luckily no one else was in the cabin at the time. But this was a thing that I used to love to kind of flex about how much I knew about Disney, because if I took someone who hadn't been, I'd be like, oh, wait a minute, we're going to wait for the front of the monorail. Stephanie, did you ever ride in the front of the monorail?
I have not, but I'm so excited that this just got put back because I'm headed to California soon. So hopefully, Rob, I don't know, my luck is not great.
Allison, have you ever ridden in the front of the monorail?
Oh yeah, I used to do this all the time. But the last time I rode it, it was in 2002 because I moved to Orlando in 2003 for a few years. And when I actually lived there, I was like, oh, this like didn't feel like that big of a deal, so I never did it. And so I sort of missed 7 years of being able to do it. But I did it all the time prior to 2002 and before it. It was one of my favorite things to do, especially just as you did, bringing people who hadn't been before or didn't know that this was a thing that you could do. It was like sort of a magical experience, and you could have real conversations with the monorail driver and like learn a bunch of stuff. It was just like a really special experience. It was really sad to lose.
Yeah. Ashton, did you ever go in the front?
Never got to ride in the front, no. But I will say recently here at Disney World, as of like even a few months ago, one of the monorail drivers took me to the front just for some pictures. So I did get to see like what the views would be like. So I can only imagine how incredible that would have been. But no, not quite.
Yeah,
I'm excited
sorry.
to hear it's back, though.
You didn't get to do the keel boats, and you didn't get to ride in the front of the monorail. Man, Disney used to be amazing. Oh, man, I am so sorry that you missed all of it. Before we move on, I do have a super chat here from our friend Jungle Cruiser. Rob, thanks. Also, last Friday rode in the nose and the tail of the Disneyland monorail. This Saturday, I'm going to row in the canoes because they still have them. Stephanie, they still have them out there. You're going out to California. You're going to do the canoes? You've got enough for probably just your crew to take a canoe,
Yes.
right?
As long as the 2-year-old paddles, we're good.
Yeah. Earn your keep. That's what you tell them. Awesome. But yeah, Jungle Cruiser, glad you got to do that. That's really exciting. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for the super chat. Let's move on to the water bottles. So there's a water bottle filling station, and I know you're like, well, Rob, that's not all that exciting. But they have one, and I'm trying to find the picture of it wherever I hit it, but they have one, here it is, that just came to Disneyland, and it's themed. It's themed for Alice in Wonderland, and it says "Drink Me." And it's your typical water bottle filling station where they put a picture of the water bottle so you know what you're supposed to do, and then they have the two lower water fountains. Which I don't know, do people still do water fountains? Like, it feels like post-COVID, not a great idea, but
All kids do. All kids,
Yes.
kids see them and they can't not. They're so excited, and every parent now who's obsessed with germs and also hydration, we're like, we have this Yeti for you. Why aren't you drinking from this Yeti? But as soon as they see a water fountain, they claim to be thirsty, like they haven't had any water in like a year, so that they can go to the water. So yes, they do still use them. But the actual bottle filling station, first of all, this one's super cute. there should be more of them in the parks. It drives me nuts that there aren't. I have like been there trying to get like use the water fountain to fill a bottle all the time, which is very annoying because it never has the right amount of water pressure. It's a very frustrating experience. And I've always like, conspiracy theorized that the reason they don't have them is because they want you to buy the overpriced Dasani bottles in the parks. And they want to, and I crumble because it's hard to find the water filling stations. And I'm grateful for the Imagineers who have put them in places like Pandora and Galaxy's Edge, and you can find them there. But they are not ubiquitous, and they absolutely should be in this day and age when every parent has a Yeti for every single one of their children, so that we don't have to worry about them putting their mouth on the shield. And I can see Stephanie nodding because she knows the struggle.
Yes.
Well, I mean, is it kind of like they said that you shouldn't have to go 40 paces without a trash can? You shouldn't have to go 60 paces holding your Stanley Cup? Is that the way that works?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. There should be at least 2 in every land.
Well,
and they should have them at the airport. They have them the furthest you are from security. Like, you keep walking in the Orlando airport, you'll find them. But they make you walk past all the shops first before you can find the bottle filling station.
Well,
they try to get you to buy it at the Hudson News first.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Before we go to Stephanie, I'll end with Stephanie, but Ashton, I wanted to ask you because like I looked at this and we have in here that it's on the app and it says bottle filling station at King and Queen restrooms, which is great that it's on the app here. I don't know, is it on the app in Florida? And if so, if not, do you at least know where every single water bottle filling station is on property at Disney World?
I'll be honest, I have not checked the app recently to know that if it's there because I just know where all of them are. I'm sure you could search it in the app and it would pop up just the same. I'd be surprised if it wasn't on both of them. But now I'm curious. I'll have to check.
And how many are there on Disney property, Walt Disney World property? Quick, off the top of your head.
Right. Yeah. A few.
No, I'm just kidding. You know what? There's more than there are fuel rod stations. I can tell you that for sure, out of frustration that there's, because it's the struggle is real to find a fuel rod station when you need one. Stephanie, do you guys carry like I picture you like armed like, the Chewbacca, but like instead of like ammo, it's just water bottles all the way down when you're going through the park. Is that not how that works?
Would be smart. I need to create something like that. No, the biggest thing I ever had was a shoe rack that you can hang in your closet, cut off the end to make, the 6 holders, and you twist tie it to the back of your stroller and you walk around the park with that, and everyone has their own little slot and you can tell whose bottle is whose and that kind of thing. But Allison speaks the truth. I really can't add much more to that. Absolutely.
That it's a conspiracy and they're out to get you, so you buy the expensive Dasani water? Is that
maybe? But I was really talking about the kids part that she was talking about.
Oh, yeah. I've seen kids like just put their entire mouth over top of those things, and that was when I was like, nope, I'm out, I'm done. Yes. Give me that expensive Dasani bottle of water. Speaking of things that could be gross, Magic Kingdom counter service food sometimes is a challenge. Looking at you, Pinocchio's Village House, there are several that are not quite great. As a matter of fact, the last time I was at Disney, I was walking through Pandora, and 2 guys that were together, but they didn't seem like they were together based on the conversation they were having. The one guy said, "Oh, I heard all the worst food is at the Magic Kingdom," and the other guy goes, "Oh yeah, it's bad." So like, it's like, is this an interview? What are you guys doing? But the counter service I used to love was the Pirate and the Parrot, which then became Tortuga Tavern, which was up in Adventureland, and it was Mexican food. They moved that down when they closed it and became Tortuga Tavern. They moved it down to Pecos Bill, so it's been like Mexican fare, nachos, and things like that. And then now, again, I feel like Pecos Bill has kind of been one of the strongest contenders, but now they have a whole new menu that includes like, bowls with bases. And the first thing I think about on this one Allison, is there's a place in Pandora, maybe you've heard of it, called Satuli. We all praise Satuli for being very flexible on food and being able to, to get your base and your protein and all that kind of stuff. When you look at this, do you think Satuli or do you think where's Skipper Canteen?
Where's Skipper Canteen? I was hopeful when I saw the article because it would be really nice to have like a really good counter service option in the Magic Kingdom for like a quick lunch. I'm unhappy with basically all of them, and I tend to go to Columbia Harbor House as like a default because I don't really like any other options. We usually do sit down anyway because yeah, I'm just not happy with the food. This was like kind of disappointed because I feel like this is the easy thing to do when you have lots of different dietary restrictions. Like every conference I go to with work, when you have people who are gluten-free and vegan and what, like you put out like tacos and like people can build their own thing. They can have corn tortillas or flour tortillas or no tortillas and just rice. Like so many different things you can do. And it actually doesn't feel like there are many options here at all. And the options that are there don't look great. And if you look at the ratings from like our viewers, they are like almost all not great. The one thing that looks good is like this weird dessert corn mousse thing. Like, so the actual food, not so much. The dessert looks okay.
Well, I thought they liked it. I thought Tom and Eric liked the food, although 5 out of 7, 5 out of 7. You know what looks sad to me is this plate of fries here, because again, when you go through it, it's like guacamole. Well, that looks really appetizing, doesn't it? And then this, oh my Lord, like what, like
they said the queso is good and the guacamole is like the worst guacamole they've had anywhere, which is a real feat. It's really hard to mess up guacamole. They said the queso is better. I don't know. Yeah. It all looks not good to me.
All right, Ashton, I'm going to ask you your opinion on this because I have an opinion on this. How do you feel when they take food and they try to make it look like other food? Because that's what they're doing with this. It's like it's not half a corn cob, but they're trying to make it look like street corn, but it's some sort of weird chocolate mousse.
I definitely think there's an audience for it. I am not that audience personally. Like I'm not the pickle milkshake girly. So I'm not a fan of this. I want corn and it's gonna taste like chocolate, and that's weird to me. I don't know. No, it's not for me.
Yeah. I mean, right? Like it's one of those things that was the thing that when I got to the picture, and Allison, you mentioned they loved this. When I got to the picture, I was like, oh Lord, no! Why would you take food and compress it to look like other food and then serve it to me? Like I don't know why, but they said that this was really good and they rated it 7 out of 7 and said it would be the thing that would drive them back. I've been in the park at the same time Stephanie's been at Pinocchio's Village House, and it's a disappointment to you. Is this the best counter service, or did they mess it up with this new menu?
I think everybody loved the burgers and the fajitas and the toppings bar. Did the toppings bar come back? I mean, come on. Everybody raved about that. I feel like they were trying to go for like a Chipotle vibe, and I'm not sure that they really achieved that. And yes, the last time we were there a month ago, we went to Columbia Harbor House and had the lobster roll. So we didn't choose Pecos Bill at that point either. I do like a cake that looks like not cake. I like a cake that looks like a cheeseburger or something like that. I think that's pretty cool. But Disney way overdoes it with the mousse. Anybody?
What and what's it called? A tureen? Is that what it is when you take like you put basically pudding cups? Is that basically what that is? A tureen? I don't know.
Or trifle with the pudding.
No, it was the thing that they had. It's this thing.
Yes, a trifle.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a trifle bit gross. So let's move on to something that apparently I left off of our menu on the side here, which is important, and it's in the title, and it's talking about Jollywood Nights. Because again, we talked about it last week, because y'all weren't here, but Jollywood Nights is one of those things where last year it was just torn up, decimated. Everybody who went the first night was like, this is the worst thing Disney's ever done. And when they tried to fix it, Tom was like, too little, too late. But I mean, I went to Jollywood Nights and I had a good time. I mean, I went, and Stephanie, you did as well. And so it feels like and Stephanie, I'll throw this one to you first, but I was shocked that it was coming back. I literally was. I was like, everybody, like even if it was going to be a nighttime thing, at least I thought they might change the name of it just because of the Jollywood thing was so weird last year. But they were like, nope, we are sticking to this horse the entire way. And now they're adding ice skating. There is details on something called Glisten, the ice skating show that is going to be in front of the Hollywood or on Hollywood Boulevard, which I think is weird. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm trying to wrap my brain around where this would go. I assume it's not going to be real ice they're ice skating on, but it's going to be like 900 times a night during Jollywood. So I assume, Stephanie, you're going to try to take advantage of this. But it also seems a little cruel because if there's a way to do ice skating, don't you think little kids would want to do that?
That was the first thought I had, Rob. Seriously, I was like, why aren't they letting us go on there and do it? But yeah, I actually, they're trying to make fetch happen. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to make Jollywood stick, and it's an upcharge. They love the upcharge. Oh, I'm sorry, extra ticketed event. I said that wrong last time. Not the
hard ticketed event.
But yeah, hard ticketed event. But I do think that this is a funny, but dare I say cool, pun intended, addition to this because, yeah, I mean, they really do have a pretty good entertainment lineup as far as the stage shows and the music that they're offering. I'm glad they're moving the Fiesta, I don't speak Spanish, so don't even make me try to say, out to the animation courtyard because I feel like that's going to have more room for them. And they were kind of hidden back along the ABC commissary area last year anyway. So I'm glad that they're going to kind of feature them more over there. And then this, I'm not sure. I guess they're wanting to cover it up, and have like people not see it during the daytime. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be real ice. It seems like that would be a hard thing to control in November because the first ones are going to start in November in Florida. I want to throw this question about characters to you, Ashton, because the characters I think were a huge draw. Did you go to Jollywood last year, by the way, Ashton?
Yes, I went twice, so yes, definitely.
Oh, excuse me. So sorry. So sorry, Your Highness. No, I just...
the characters, man.
Yeah, exactly. The characters are awesome. I love that they say find Mandalorian in Galaxy's Edge, like it's a hide and seek, where's Waldo sort of a situation. I hope that's not what they're doing. And then they just announced that Joy is coming, which I'm like, of course, because when I think Christmas and Jollywood, that's the first thing that pops into my mind. But Bo Peep and Lotso, here's the thing. It's Bo Peep or Lotso, and it's Jose or Panchito. This is the thing, Ashton. Why wouldn't they, and Donald and Daisy are somewhere completely different. Why wouldn't they put the three Caballeros together? Talk to me. Why wouldn't they do that?
Honestly, you're asking the wrong gal when it comes to that, because I agree with you. Why wouldn't you have the three Caballeros together? The only reasonable thing I could come up with is that they want to keep you there. So people like me have to go twice just to get all the characters. So that's my biggest guess, is that they just want to keep that spread out and keep those guests in lines.
So out of the ones that are going to be there this year, then what's the one you're looking forward to the most?
I love Lotso. I know I shouldn't because he's the villain, but Holiday Spirit with Lotso does sound like a lot of fun. Come on.
He smells like strawberries.
Big old teddy bear.
Again,
Exactly.
Everything lines up completely with the holidays. Edna Mode, The Mandalorian, Joy, Lotso, Bo Peep. It's Christmas all over the place in here. I mean, there are a few things, and I'm sure that the characters will be, like Mickey and Minnie will be dressed in their holiday best. I do like the idea of Max Goof as Powerline. That's always a good meet and greet. The Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. But King Louie and Baloo from Tailspin is also a good one. So I think all of that's exciting. Allison, last year, you went last year, I think, and last year they gave you stuff, which I know from you being on the show, you don't like stuff. So last year I think it was coasters. This year they're going to, as you leave the party, hand you champagne-flavored marshmallows. Is this an upgrade? Can you wait to get your hands on these? What's going on?
No, thank you. I want neither. I don't remember the coasters. They did not come home with me, so I'm sure that's what it was. But they don't; those things don't come in my suitcase. I would rather have something like edible, like an edible treat. That's great, but I'm not interested in champagne marshmallows. I feel like marshmallows are also. I like marshmallows, regular ones, but I feel like they're also polarizing. I don't know why they didn't do some kind of like truffle or something like that. That's a little bit more crowd pleasing. This is just a little weird of a choice.
Yeah. Are you excited about the ice skating?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be really cool. I actually remember it being in like the way they marketed it. I remember there being like ice skaters last year and like, are they gonna have this? And like wondering. So I'm kind of glad that they're trying to figure out a way to do it this year. I'm curious as to how it'll work out with ice. But the night that I went, it was like absolutely frigid in December in Florida, which was a
Oh,
surprise. So it would have worked perfectly that night.
yeah.
Well, looking at the chat, Elizabeth said Lotso's a teddy bear and Bo Peep is a shepherd. Is shepherd like in the Christmas story? So she's putting the pieces together for us. So like
Makes
that's gonna
sense.
work. If you can figure out joy, although joy to the world, maybe is that where we're going with that one? That could be a thing. Rosita said I don't like marshmallows. So like you said, it's a very like divisive.
Polarizing.
Yeah, it's polarizing. Exactly. It's one of those things. It's like you either like marshmallows or you detest them, and there's usually not an in between. And you may like marshmallows, but you may hate champagne flavored ones. Like you think you hate marshmallows, boy, wait till you get the champagne flavored ones because they're gonna be awful. So yeah. A couple things that happen about Food and Wine. One of them is that there are new buttons, and I like a good button that at the Brewing Lab. Ashton, you were out there and you collected some of these. Is they're not just laying around? You got to go up and like tackle a cast member to get one. I think there's four different ones.
Exactly. So the day I went, there was some laying just on the counter. Some of the buttons were where you pick up your food, but since then they've gotten sneaky with it, and you have to find the cast member who has the goods. So you kind of have to walk around and figure out who's dealing the stickers and the buttons at that time. Um,
Who's dealing? I love that.
yeah, yeah, man. The guy I saw that day actually put the button on me, which I thought was a little strange and a little brave, but he did his job, I guess. And yeah, I don't. It's a little strange. So you got to find the cast member who
Stranger
has the goods
danger.
if you want one.
Yeah,
It's
that's
chaos.
interesting. Well, but I mean, like, how long has the Food and Wine Festival been going on? Like, I guess 2-3 weeks, right, at this point.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's
and
just it
and
hasn't been
then
going
they're
on too
like
long.
they must have just gotten these things in, but I mean, these are cool looking. I would love to have all of these. You got stickers and buttons and things, and I love that they've added this. I feel like I got a sticker last year at the Brewing Lab, and it was like a taste tester sticker or something that a cast member randomly gave me. But maybe that was just because I was the only sucker drinking the pickle milkshake last year. Could have been. Could have been.
Possible.
But the thing that I find more interesting is something we had a huge conversation about a couple weeks ago, which was the freaking Communicore Hall. The Communicore Hall, if you guys don't know, they took down a perfectly good building. They built a new one in its place that is half as good, maybe. I like to like things. I don't like Communicore Hall. It just is one of those things where it's just so drab. It's like flashback to elementary school cafeteria. It's supposed to be very versatile. It's supposed to be function over form, I guess. But what they've done with it was like you guys, you guys don't like it right now, but wait till there's a festival. And again, just like I was talking about with the marshmallows, you'll hate it. They've set up temporary merchandise in one end of it, and yet they've opened up the food in the other end of it for the macatizer. So this is what it looked like before. Tables galore, like so many you're tripping over them, couches against the walls. Now they've added these. I don't even think you can see them in the background. They've pushed the tables up against the wall to make sure there's plenty of room for these like Spirit Halloween style shelf designs that are sitting here in the middle. So I mean, I'm lost as to why this makes any sense. Ashton, make it make sense.
I, what is the saying? It's like putting a lipstick on a pig or something. That's what
That's
this is.
exactly.
It's not cute. She's trying though, but no, it's not cute. And we definitely needed more merchandise, the same merchandise that you can get across the entire World Showcase and at a specific store right across the garden. You know, like it's redundant and it's just upsetting. I'm sorry. I have big feelings about this. I can't stand it. It's so upsetting.
No, have big feelings about it. It's awful. And again, it's one of those things where I loved original Epcot. I thought that the Communicore was very cool. And then they made it Innoventions, and then they knocked it all down, and then they built this thing. But just to remind everybody again of the concept art of what the festivals are supposed to look like inside Communicore Hall, here it is. Like here it is. There's a huge statue and like mobiles hanging from the ceiling, and selfie spots all over the place, and you do not see those secondhand Kmart racks anywhere in this artwork, and it's very disturbing to me that they were just like, nah. We'll just throw up some merch and open up a mac and cheese stand, and everybody will go, perfect. That's exactly what'll happen. Would you say she trying? No, she's not.
Trying.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you were going to get truffle mac and cheese when it's 95 degrees out, at least you can eat it in air conditioning. Like, positive.
Okay,
Which I did.
fair enough. All right. Let's move on to talk about the Imaginatrium, because Stephanie, this is exciting. This is our place, the DVC. They're going to have the Imaginatrium opening soon. You're going to call it that for the rest of your life, I'm sure. Yeah. Why are you going ugh already?
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, so here's it's not open yet, but the Imaginatrium, they've put up signage, they've done some painting, they've got like this nice little desk downstairs, and so they've done some remodeling on what we're talking about is the DVC Lounge upstairs at Imagination. When I joined DVC, this was one of the things I was the most excited about, was this lounge being there, because I used to work at the ImageWorks. I loved that it was upstairs and you could go there, and I was like, great, the rainbow tunnel is going to be there, the pin tables, no, none of that. As a matter of fact, they just took the smallest area of it and they had you in there. And then you go, and Stephanie, you may have experienced this before, you go there to check in as a DVC member, like, I'd like to go up to the lounge, and they're like, oh, there's an hour wait list. And you're like, if you just push those walls back a little bit, I know there's space back there. I don't know what you're doing with it, but I know there's space back there. Are you excited? Are you nervous? How are you feeling about this?
I do utilize this, absolutely, like you're talking about, but you do have to go there to check in, and I like the old fast pass system. You have to go to all the rides and pull your paper and that kind of thing. I'm not sure that this would be a better use of the whole thing if you would just have an online check-in. Then I guess you would have people checking in and saying, taking up spots and then never appearing. But yeah, I don't know what the new system is going to look like. I don't like whenever they have to walk you upstairs and then pick out a table for you. I just want them to say your time is ready and you can go and pick out the table that you want. So I guess they're doing that to conserve space. People who buy into DVC like us, we're like, big Disney fans. Why don't they throw back and put up the Rainbow Tunnel again? Why don't they throw some old, Disney to us and just give us what we want, man?
Yes. And again, I'm guessing that Ashton missed out on that, is my guess. Like, the only ImageWorks you've ever known are the 3 broken machines that exist currently as you exit the ride, right?
Yeah. Yes, Rob. Yep. 1994.
Wow. You had to throw out the year too. Fantastic. Because I know that Allison loves merch so much, I wanted to get her take on this Figment bag.
No, I mean you don't want to. You don't want like I'm gonna ruin everyone's everyone who's watching who wants this thing. I'm just gonna ruin it for it. This is hideous.
Do
This
it.
looks cheap. I like okay. I guess it's like at least it's the old Figment. It's kind of cute, but it looks deranged. It's like can you put back up the picture because I need to tear it apart. It looks like canvas, like a cheap material. Like this is gonna like break, like a pencil will break through this thing. I don't know why the bag is also the exact same color as his skin because then there's the outline and I hate everything about this. Also, what are you gonna put in this?
A bowling ball.
Look at the shape of this. Yeah, a bowling ball. Why is it shaped like this? What? This is not utilitarian. This is ugly. This is cheap. This is terrible material. And like people are gonna buy this, and Disney is gonna laugh at us.
From the low price of $45, this too can be yours.
No, I didn't see the price. I'm so mad. All right, well, now I'm not mad about nothing anyone's yum here because I want to save everyone $50. Like, Jesus.
I'm sorry, it's $44.99. I guess if we're gonna be splitting hairs, so it's $45 plus tax, and yes, and Allison gives it a thumbs down. I think I couldn't really tell from that review if you liked it or not, but it is available now. And next time when you go
Nobody
to try to
buy this. Teach Disney a lesson, please.
When you go you think this is some cruel trick that somebody was like, watch this. I bet if we put Figment on anything, people will buy it. And they're like, hold my beer. This is what we're doing. Yeah, okay. All right, let's move on to this segment, which I've commonly called here "I Need an Adult," which sounds a little weird, I know, but so this is something that was stemmed from a post of the new Six Flags Great Adventure chaperone policy in New Jersey, I believe it is. New York, New Jersey. And so the information is that they have added this new chaperone policy to their park that says that under this policy, guests under the age, all guests ages 15 and old and younger must be accompanied by a chaperone who is at least 21 years of age, which sounds like a very unenforceable rule, but it's a rule nonetheless, because again, a 15-year-old is not going to have an ID for you to know they're 15, so I don't know how that works. But somebody posted this on Twitter and said, your turn, Universal, because they're upset about Halloween Horror Nights, because apparently Universal doesn't have a policy. Now, Twitter being what Twitter is, somebody very kindly helped this person by throwing the Universal policy up. This is fun. It says, this is so good. While there is not a specific policy, this is their policy. Their policy starts while there's not a specific policy in place, stating that someone needs to have a minimum age. We recommend that all guests below the age of 14 have a supervising companion that is 14 years of age or older and meets all the attraction ridership requirements. And then it says City Walk guests under the age of 18 without passes to the theme park are required to depart at 8 p.m. But so again, this says guests below the age of 14 and older. So if you're 14, you're allowed to come into Universal by yourself. Here's what I picture. I picture mom, and let's just say it's Disneyland, pulling up to Disneyland going, I need these kids out of my hair for the day. And they've got annual passes. Drop them off, say, bye, y'all. I'll be back in 8 hours. Disney, this is your problem now. Let them go. Because, you know, like, that seems like an easy way to do some babysitting, I would assume. So I thought, and bear with me, I'm almost done with this part, and then I want to get everybody's opinion, including Ashton. You were at least 14, right? 94.
Stop.
Okay. All right. So the Disney policy says children should be supervised. Guests under the age of 14 must be accompanied by a guest age 14 or older to enter theme park or water park. To board an attraction, oh boy, children under the age of 7 must be accompanied by a person ages 14 or older. So if you want a 7-year-old to ride an attraction, you need to give them someone who is 14 to go with them. And again, it's kind of hard to prove that you're 14 or you're not 14. But I was just looking at this policy and I was going, okay, this is crazy. And I looked into the Six Flags one a little bit more. This is the best part. One chaperone, it says the chaperone must be present, and of course 21. One chaperone must accompany no more than 10 guests ages 15 or younger per day. So I don't know. And again, I don't know that I've had huge problems with this with kids that are just hanging out in the parks just because, but it's surprising to me. Like, I don't know. Stephanie, I'm going to start with you on this one. Do you think that there should be a policy in place, or do you think it's just okay that, a 10-year-old could go into Disney by themselves?
So just to clarify, at Disney, at least, if you're 7, you can ride the ride by yourself. But in order to ride with someone younger, you have to be 14 years of age or older. And I know this because of the age ranges of my children. So my older kids are not quite 14, so they cannot ride next to the 2-year-old. The 2-year-old has to ride by me or my husband. But my 7-year-old and my 10-year-old can ride together or ride by themselves if they want to, because they are over the age of 7. So that's the little caveat there. But Universal, I can kind of see this being more of an issue than Disney necessarily, because like I could see, a group of 14, 15-year-olds, middle schoolers, and there's nothing to do. We live in Orlando. Let's, go over and hang out at Universal for the day or something like that on the weekend. So I can see that being an issue. And yes, if they're disrespecting the parks, if they're disrespecting other patrons, of the parks, then absolutely they need to have a chaperone. I think about like those youth groups and other school groups and things that take, trips, and there's like one chaperone and like a bunch of teenagers. I don't know how they handle that. But yeah, I do think that there needs to be some supervision. I wouldn't just let my kids just drop off. I'd be there riding the rides with them.
Yeah. No, I mean, and again, it's funny to think that that someone asked for this policy who is clearly an adult who doesn't want kids ruining their experience at a theme park. Okay, let's stop and think about that for a second, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about a theme park, right, that is designed for families but also for kids. So, yeah, they're like, oh, get these kids out of here. They're ruining my experience. But it is Halloween Horror Nights specifically that they're talking about. Ashton, thoughts? I'm interested in hearing what you have to say.
Sure. So I used to actually coordinate back a few years ago for Horror Nights, and I can say from that experience that yes, there's teenagers there without chaperones, and they do cause havoc, and they do sometimes even hit performers and workers, which is a problem. But like you were saying, I think a theme park is the kind of environment that you're supposed to learn how to be a person in the environment and function as an adult. And if a theme park isn't that place, then we have to find some kind of alternative for these teenagers to kind of figure it out for themselves. I don't know. I think it's fine. It never got so out of hand. That's why there's coordinators and security, and Orange County is crawling during Horror Nights. So I don't think it's a big problem.
I can just see the scenario. Where is your mom? You're not the boss of me.
We don't have malls anymore, Rob, so where else are they going to go on the weekends?
That's true. Yeah, malls, that's another issue. Allison, you want to bring us home on this topic?
I think in general we see more bad behavior from adults in theme parks than we do from children. And I think just as with adults that are violating the rules of the parks, where you trespass them or you eject them from the park if there's a problem, that is the only we need. I think there are plenty of kids that are on their own that are fine. People should not be abusing it and using the park as their babysitters. But again, as long as there is not really bad disruptive behavior that's violating park rules, I just don't think we need a one size fits all policy. And I certainly remember when I was 12 and I would drive down to Disney with my dad, and we'd meet my friend there as well with her dad, and our dads were tired from the travel, and they're like, all right, go take the bus because we're in the Disney bubble. So it was the first big independent thing. We're staying at a Disney hotel, got on the bus, went to my first time in Animal Kingdom the year it opened in summer of 1998, we were like, oh, like this is like a very exciting thing for us to do. First time we were away, they gave us quarters to call us because this is pre-cell phones. Like it was like, this is in case you need anything, here's some quarters for the payphones, which were right at the entrance in the bathrooms. But yeah, it was like it's an independence thing, and I think like you just like learn how to behave in a society, and if somebody's violating the rules of the society, then like the consequences are the consequences. And check the people drinking around the world in Epcot that are being belligerent. They're much worse behaved than the sober children.
Yeah. True.
Wow. Well, you don't remember the ferry boat fight where the 10-year-old decked the 12-year-old? You don't remember when that happened, or when they dragged the drunk 8-year-old out of the France Pavilion for being in the fountain? You don't remember any of that stuff? No, you're right. I mean, that's very valid.
The 50-year-old man at Citrico's, punching the cast member. Like, yeah, I mean, like, these are the people that cause like the real problems. If kids and teens are causing problems, you just eject them, just as you would anybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to stop here, and we have a super chat, and then I need to explain. So the super chat is from Dave's Bell Schedule. It says, we met Ashton while in line at Jock Lindsay's, a very lovely woman. Where did you get the Small World background? Now, we did say the first time, this is your second time on, we said the first time that you were on, that you had so many cool things in your background that we needed you to explain something each week. Is this the week where maybe you explain that one?
Sure, I guess so. So here, sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Here you go. That's the background. So the Small World background is actually from Etsy, though, so I did not do that. I wish I was that artistic and that talented, but no, that is Etsy. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dave's Bell Schedule, for the super chat. We appreciate you. And thanks for show and tell, Ashton. That's great.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's move on to this one. Speaking of adults behaving badly, I don't know if y'all were just like floored when you read this article, but I was. So Disney World trips that were meant for homeless students went to New York City public school employees. Like, it could not be a worse situation, I feel like, with something like that. So I mean it could be. I'm sorry, I don't mean to blow it out of proportion like that, but it is like, you're stealing these things. These are things that an endowment went together for this, the idea that they wanted to send these kids and have them have experiences. These kids who were in shelters, etc., have experiences. And so there were trips to DC and other places, and some of them were to Disney World, and they just flat out went and falsified paperwork and went on these trips. And I mean, again, I feel like everybody's face, we went from joyous to like, what the heck, because it feels bad. Allison, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, no, it's gross. I think the worst part of it is like, these people just seem to have like lost their jobs or been put on hold. Like, this is actually criminal activity. This is 100% fraud, and I'm not sure why criminal charges weren't brought beyond like the administrative consequences they faced in their employment. It might be because it took several years to discover it. They could just be lucky that it's past the statute of limitations, but it's like absolutely reprehensible behavior, and they should face a lot more consequences than have come their way.
Gotcha. Stephanie.
Not much more to add. I mean, Allison's got the legal background to go over this, but yeah, it's for shame, for sure. And, these kids, they're sitting in shelters. They're not, maybe even if they're in the foster system, they're not going to be able to go to Disney World necessarily. So the fact that they didn't get to go, maybe they didn't know about it, but you're still, like you said, defrauding them. You're still taking away something that was meant for them. And I just think that's reprehensible. Yeah.
Well, and again, I'm not sure there's much more we could say about that other than don't do that. Don't be, I don't know. It seems like it just the sleaziest. Yeah, do better. The sleaziest amount of the thing that you could do is to take away from somebody who has has nothing, and and just enjoy that for yourself. So I don't know what else to say about it, but I did want to call attention to it because of how horrible it was. Ashton, on this next one, I want to ask you a question, but first let me ask you about this bag. What do you think about? No, I'm just kidding. I know as a park reporter, you have to cover top to bottom everything that happens at Walt Disney World. How excited are you to go in daily and stare at the ground and see the changes to the pavement in Adventureland, and to measure it and to document it and to make sure that everybody knows how it is? Is this the most exciting part of your job?
I wouldn't say it's the most exciting part of the job, but it is exciting. I'm a nerd. I love tracking anything. I don't know if you followed the King Triton story recently, but he's back in Magic Kingdom, which is exciting. Like, these are the things. These are my things. Anyway, but I think the new pavement's exciting. I think it'll probably reach out towards like right in front of the camel, in front of the magic carpets, because that's about when like all of the really cool pavement really starts. They have some really nice tile work over there, so we'll see. I think it'll be an ongoing project, but I think it'll be more immersive too. It's very similar to Pandora, so I think it'll be cool.
I love how much money, I can't even imagine how much money they're probably spending to make this look worse. But I mean, again, that's like I mean, but it's a cool kind of worse. But again, I look at it though, and I'm thinking ADA. I'm thinking you've made this more difficult for not only wheelchairs but also for moms with strollers. Like, I feel like I mean, that's going to be a thing. So bring your jogging stroller when you go through Adventureland, because it has those rubber tires that are probably going to be better for you. How are you feeling, Allison, about some good old-fashioned themed pavement?
I love themed pavement. We were talking about it being like immersive. This is themed pavement. True story. Made me cry last year because I took my daughter to the Wilderness Lodge for dinner. And when we got out of our car and we started walking up to like the entrance to the hotel, they have like hooves in the tracks of different animals. And she just like stopped in her track. She's like, oh, I think a deer came through here and it must have walked this way. And we spent like 20 minutes like looking at the different tracks, and she was just like totally amazed. And I was like, this is why Disney's so great, because we can like play in the parking lot and it's a magical experience. So anytime they do something like this that enhances it a little bit, I'm like, yeah, no, this is what we do. We do it like the kind of things that a 4-year-old's imagination like kind of takes off. And it's just like a tiny little detail that enhances it for like an adult brain, but it like means so much to a small kid. It's like actually very special. So we can joke about pavement, but it makes me for clubs.
Well, now you made me feel bad about it. I mean, because yes, that is a great story. I mean, I love in what they did in Fantasyland Forest, and making the trail for the horse prints and things like that. And then when you get into the Storybook Circus, you see the peanut shells and stuff in the pavement. But I do think now I'm a believer. I love that story. That's a great story.
Can I add something, Rob, really quickly?
Sure.
When you mentioned the jogging stroller, because of course I do push a lot of strollers, and I also have had need to ride on a scooter. So I recently was able to speak with one of the artistic directors there at Walt Disney World, and he describes it as when you go over this other kind of concrete or the cobblestones in Liberty Square, something like that, it's a full sensory thing, even just with the transition where you're at. So yeah, that makes total sense what Allison is saying, and I do think that adds something to, I mean, the color of it itself. He's talking about how it adds to that area. The planters in front of Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse, he said that it was meant to look like the family found these rocks and these objects and made the planters themselves.
Very cool. Okay, again, thumbs up on themed themed concrete. So every time we talked about Splash Mountain, I know that Tommy C always said, well, at least there's still one in Tokyo. But it seems like that may not be for too much longer. There's a rumor that they're going to replace Splash Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland. And you know what? Again, if that's the thing they want to do, that's okay. Apparently, OLC is in talks with Disney. There was some rumor that Disney was trying to strong-arm them into doing this. They were like, great, give us some ideas, but not Tiana. Like, Tiana's not here. This is not a thing for us. But if you can come up with something else. And so I'm actually kind of excited about the fact that there may be something else. Now, this isn't going to happen tomorrow because there's still so many projects. I mean, they just basically are demolishing their Space Mountain. That's not going to go up overnight. They're going to need to fix that and put it up. But I was like, you know what? Okay, it's Splash Mountain is whatever. I loved the original Splash Mountain in Disney World. The one in Disneyland's a little rougher, but I really did like going on that. But I like Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But I looked at some of these pictures of this attraction, and first of all, it looks like it goes into the mountain the other way, which is interesting. But some of these details, like this, I was just like, wait, what is this? This doesn't like. That's amazing, the details that they put in this. So I'm assuming that when this happens at OLC, it's going to be pretty amazing. But Allison, are you headed out to Tokyo anytime soon to maybe try and like get a look at this thing before it goes away?
We have a couple of years to see it. I think I'm going in March, not 100%, but it would be great because then I can ride this one last time and maybe get to go again and see what they put in. I trust the OLC, whatever they do is going to be amazing. And like I like that we might have a non-Tiana like splash change do. Like whatever they do should be fun. Just like getting cars in Walt Disney World, like I'm glad it's not going to, like, as much as I love that attraction, it'd be nice to have something different, unlike Galaxy's Edge, which is like, the same at both parts with the same two rides. But I like to see some different stuff in different places, so there's some really good reason to go visit. Not that we need more reason to visit Tokyo.
Right. Stephanie?
Honestly, I hope that they don't. Honestly, because I feel like those of us that are splash lovers and my daughter's favorite ride, I feel like she should be able to go somewhere in the world and be able to ride it again still. But yeah, I would love to get over there to see it before they do change it, if they do change it. I know this is a rumor right now, and Tom was talking about how they really like the characters, like the little characters, the Chip and Dale and things like that over there. So maybe they do it with Mickey. Maybe they do a story all along with them. I don't know.
Maybe they hollow out the mountain and they put in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
No, don't do that.
Let's do it.
Water.
Let's make it up. With water.
They bring back the Great Movie Ride.
Oh, no. Muppets Great Movie Ride.
Could happen. So this was an interesting story that came up, and I was excited about it because I was like, oh, park hours, because I feel like since, again, there was that pandemic thing, not everybody, I guess, had an experience with it, but the pandemic, I feel like everything that Disney World has closes early. I mean, the fact that we used to have the Disney Springs close at 2 a.m. and now it's like 11 p.m. They roll up the sidewalks. That seems a little bit weird. Back in the day, they used to have Pleasure Island and they'd shoot off fireworks at midnight, which meant we're just getting started. And, now like they're like 11, it's 10:30. Why are you people still here? Can you leave? So, and then out in California, Disney's California Adventure closes usually at 10, and Disneyland closes at midnight, like almost every night. And versus at Disney World, the Magic Kingdom usually closes at 10, and then during a hard ticket event may stay open till 12 or, God forbid, 1. And so when I'm looking at the fact that like they're extending the park hours for the holidays at Epcot from 9 till 9:30, it's just like I want to say, guess what, kids? It used to be open until 10. Like, it's kind of like maddening to me. But Ashton, I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think the parks need to be open later, or I mean, usually rope drop them? So.
Yeah, I mean, I can do both camps. As a normal day guest, if I'm here with my family, I do prefer the nights over the rope drop mornings. I'm not a chaos queen, so rope dropping is not my typical scene. But yeah, I think the park should be open later. Some of my favorite memories growing up were those extra magic hours at night, staying up in the Magic Kingdom until 1 a.m., going down Splash Mountain. So there's a lot there, but yeah, I think it's a good thing, but half an hour really isn't much. So I'm curious to see if some of the other parks change their hours to maybe see if they're stepping stones for transportation.
Yeah, so it's a little heartbreaking for you because this entire show, because you're like Splash Mountain, you still love that, the Rivers of America,
All the
like
things
all
that
these
I
things.
missed out on. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Ugh.
exactly. Yeah. Um, when you talk about all the things that you missed out on, I think you're talking specifically. Um, no,
Absolutely not.
that's not what you're talking about. I was watching the chat, and by the way, they're basically dropping F's in the chat for Pleasure Island. Everybody is like all caps, like Pleasure Island. I miss Pleasure Island. Rosita
Seriously.
says, "I want the revolving dance floor." So yeah, that's crazy. Allison, thoughts on hours at the parks?
Bring back Adventurers Club. Sorry. Yeah, no, I think the hours are far too short. And it's funny they touched on the like extra magic hours in the morning are frequently just like 30 extra minutes just for like the park resort guests, which is like really like by the time you get through because they're scanning all the bands to make sure like you have maybe 10 extra minutes. Like it's a joke and not worth getting up early for that. It should absolutely be open later. Yeah, like 1, 2 in the morning was like not atypical for the Magic Kingdom for like decades, and it's kind of sad that everything ends at 9. And I say that when I go like on my own. When I bring my daughter, I don't know, she's asleep at like 7, and I don't understand. I see all the other parents with very young kids out till close, and I'm very jealous. And someone can please give me some advice as to how you manage that without a meltdown. I'd love to know.
Well, Stephanie, do you want to answer that question or talk about the hours?
We sleep in and then we let them nap in the stroller and then we pump them full of sugar. No, so
A spoonful
I
of sugar and then another.
there you go. And do you remember extra magic hours, like the legit ones, where there would be 3 hours at night, 2 hours at night, and then maybe an extra hour in the morning or something like that? And you plan your days around that. And people that were the planners would say, "Don't go to stay in the park that had the extra magic hours. There'll be more people there. Go to the other park, and then just do the extra magic hours and do your pop carper." Anyway, so they had there was a legit thing that people would do. And as a CM, I worked those parties, man. I was there till 2, 3 a.m. getting off shift. Absolutely. And I have one of the best pictures of my kids, meltdown, 1 a.m. They were filming a holiday special in front of the stage, the castle stage. And so we got to be in the crowd and, be excited, and everyone, they'd hype us up and everything like that. And then, yeah, we'd walk down Main Street and there's hardly anybody left in the park after that. So yeah, they need to bring that back. I think they're just using COVID as an excuse.
So, Allison, the answer is candy. Lots and lots of candy. Um, so, final story here. There is a single rider line that was temporarily at Rise of the Resistance, went away, came back a couple days ago. So there's a single rider line at Rise of Resistance. Now, one of the things is that that makes it look temporary is Karen back here in the back with a sign holding it up saying, come here for single rider rather than something permanent. But they've finally made use of the reason that there are 2 lines here as you get close to the end after the hangar. But you bypass all of the show scenes. Now, Ashton, I want to ask your opinion about this, but I also want to beg Disney, please make this available at Cosmic Rewind so I can skip Terry Crews. Love Terry Crews. I need to be able to bypass all of those pre-shows. It's too much. So even if I had a group of people, I'd still stand single file if it meant that I could bypass all of that, the funnel of people, all of that other stuff that happens at Guardians Cosmic Rewind. But have you tried the single rider line? Or are you excited about this, especially as a reporter in the parks?
I mean, I am always, as a local even, I'm just excited for a single rider line. However, I do think the single rider line is kind of not my favorite. It's a little disgraceful as far as storytelling. I think the current management team is definitely valuing efficiency over show. Which, if you've been a Disney cast member, you know that efficiency is definitely not before show. So I think that's a little odd. And I would hate to think that somebody would take the single rider option as their first ride or their only ride ever and then miss out on so much of the story because it doesn't make sense when you skip. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, out of all of the attractions, this is the one that seems like you're missing the most by doing single rider. But
Exactly.
like I said, Cosmic Rewind is great for the first time, maybe the second time, the 20th time. I would like to just skip on by. But anyway, Allison, thoughts on this one?
That's fair.
No, I fully agree. It's a shame. I feel like, I don't know, at least 50% of the experience on Rise is like getting through the pre-shows. So it's like, it's really sad. And it actually discourages me from wanting to use it. Like, even if I've been on a couple of times that day, I still like feel like I'd want to get the full experience.
Yeah. Stephanie, before we go.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. I feel like this is easily taken care of. You know, when they would try to do the timing of the standby lines, and they might give you a little lanyard with a fob at the end of it, and you hand it, they say you hand it to the cast member before you get on the ride, and so they can scan it and see how long you actually stood in line. Why don't they just do that? Why don't they say, okay, you bypass the initial line, you go straight to where you get to meet Ray, or see Ray, I guess, really, the hologram. And then you get a little lanyard or something like that that says single rider, so they know as you get off of the transport, you come into the hangar, you know that you're a single rider and you go down that other line.
I mean, I'm not going to say because people would abuse it, but I feel like your family of four, everybody take a single rider thing. When you get into the queue, put it in your pocket, and then go in with everybody else. I'm just saying it's a thing, but I get what you're going for. There needs to be something that doesn't bypass it completely. I feel like there are some things that are lightning lane that bypass story. You know, like if you go to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway in California, which I hope you do, the queue is amazing. But if you take the lightning lane side, you miss out on a bunch of the queue, which is kind of the history of Mickey Mouse.
Universal rides do that too with the Express Pass. They get through all those. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. I'm sorry we ran a little bit long here tonight. Thank you. So wait a minute. We've got one last super chat here from David's Bell schedule. Wait a minute. There she is. It says, if you skip pre-shows, you wouldn't have Seven and Fly and Hello There. Yeah. Yeah,
Seven.
I guess so. Yeah, you're talking about Test Track and Dinosaur and Fly is Pandora, but I get it. But like the Terry Crews thing, does anybody know what they call themselves? Humans. How many times have you heard that?
Nobody ever yells it out either.
Or somebody's got to tell me when I'm on. You're on. Yeah, like okay, we get it. These are people who have been in way too much. Or when you get into the room in Cosmic Rewind, and as soon as the walls go up, everybody goes to the wall like immediately. So. Yeah, that's a thing. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Big shout out to our wigs. We love the wigs. Our WDWNT Interglobe Society. Thank you guys for being members of the family. We love that you guys are with us on all of our shows. We have a great time talking to you guys and playing around every week. So it's great to see you. Wanted to mention that if you like movies and TV shows, you watch Disney Plus, you should come hang out with us on Deep in the Plus on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Allison and I did Never Been Kissed, Return to Oz. Ron and I did that one last week. And then this week, Desi and I are going to do a watch-along of the 1-hour special from Nat Geo Epcot Becoming. And then Patrick is going to do Girl vs. Monster. Ron's going to be back for Blackbeard's Ghost, and then Edward Scissorhands as we're into spooky season there. So we hope you guys will join us for that, but at least come back and see us again next Sunday night at 9 p.m. for another episode of ParksCenter. And if you are a Wigs member, we have a quick post show after this. So thank you guys so much. Thank you on the panel. You guys are awesome. I love all of the thoughts, and especially I love the passion that everybody has about different things, whatever it may be. I don't know if it's whatever that is. Yeah, exactly. It's fine. We're all fine. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next time.